Hello. Today we're going to be discussing cinema, global cinema, and we're going to be talking about how movies from different regions of the world can retain their cultural individuality and identity, and we're going to see how they can retain this individuality, but how they're still interconnected on a global scale through themes and other cinematographic analysis. I just had a quesadilla. I'm ready to talk about this guy. So, cinema can be seen as the intersection of art and technology and a powerful medium of communication. Not only does it provide a wide range of visual communication, it also, quote, mediates our experience of the world, helps us make sense of things, and in doing so, often helps shape the world itself, end quote. This is from Russell Leigh Sharman's book, Moving Pictures, and it's a definition that helps expound our understanding of cinema as a total encompassing of all aspects of filmmaking. So, from everything in the pre- and post-production, the writing, the directing, the editing, the lighting, the cinematography in general, to audience's reaction to the film, to film critique of it, to film theory, that is all aspects of cinema. That's what makes cinema cinema, as a mode of communication. Furthermore, the morals or beliefs that influence the creation and reactions to a film is extremely important as well when we come to talking about a film's impact in the art field and the communication field. Furthermore, global cinema is this idea of cinema on a grand scale, this medium of communication on a global scale. So, instead of movies just being individually their own things and their own properties, they can also relate to other movies from other parts of the world through themes, through cinematography, through general ideas and characters and archetypes. Today we're going to be talking mostly about themes. These movies still individually retain their cultural specifics from their specific regions, while also relating to other films from different regions, both comparing and contrasting. For instance, Asian Caribbean cinemas can compare in a lot of ways. We're going to talk about the movies Lagaan and The Harder and Come. We're going to talk about how they're both culturally unique, and we're also going to talk about how they relate to each other and are interconnected within the grander scheme of global cinema. So Lagaan was directed by Ashutosh Gowarikar in 2001. He's an Academy Award nominee, and he was born and raised in India. He has had several other directorial accomplishments, including the movie Sways and Panapa. I'm very sorry if I mispronounced that. That's my bad. But the film Lagaan is believed to be one of his best, and it is showing a lot of aspects of Indian culture. We're going to talk more about this movie before we get to The Harder They Come. Lagaan is a definition of a perseverance story. It includes a lot of characteristics of faith, courage, perseverance, and spirituality that Gowarikar shows are all attributes of Indian culture, and it's inherent in the Indian person. This movie specifically shows the impoverished nature of many Indians during the British occupation in the late 1890s. Specifically, we get this early on in the minute 4:30, and between the minute 4:30 and the minute 5, we see British soldiers walking through the main village that we're set in. These soldiers, the camera's pointed up at them, so they appear towering, and they appear that they're above everyone else in the scene. And whenever we see the Indian village, they're either looking at the soldiers walking through, or they're doing their own chores. This shows a power hierarchy because we are looking down at the villagers and up at the British soldiers. It establishes a power dynamic where the British are with authority and they're the upper class, while the Indians are seen as the lower class. Not only this, but there's also commentary on inequality and social classes in Indian society itself, where the Indian caste system has determined some in the Indian village to be above others. So, for example, we get this disabled character. Around the 1 hour and 37 minute mark, after Bhuvan and the other villagers made the deal to play a game of cricket in order to receive less taxes within the next 3 years, or I'm sorry, they get no taxation in the next 3 years, they allow a disabled character to be on the team. Because the way he's disabled, it allows him to throw the ball differently in a better way than other characters can. Initially, all the villagers were against this because he is seen as the lowest on the caste system, so they don't want to be associated with him because it might harm their standings. However, Bhuvan convinces them all, and he is allowed to join the team. This, along with the camera work that shows the disabled character being lower, as we have to look down at him, as the camera shows looking down on the disabled character, after Bhuvan convinces everyone else to let him join the team, he is on eye level with everyone, creating a sense of equality. This is a cultural critique of Indian society. It shows that the caste system only leads to further inequality and disparity, while ignoring this and having everyone be on the equal playing ground and on the same level achieves a sense of unity and a stronger community that allows them to fight against stronger authorities and oppression, in this case, the British Empire. This is a cultural critique, and it's very specific to Indian culture, and Ashutosh Gowarikar shows us specifically how the Indians persevere throughout the story. They learn the game, and despite the odds, they manage to beat the British in the end. And throughout the whole movie, the further strengthening of community and the sense of unity that goes beyond the caste system allows them to do this, and allows them to achieve this sense of strength and unity. The Harder They Come is extremely effective at conveying the struggles and disparities of Jamaican culture, as well as balancing it with the vibrant and colorful sides as well. This movie was directed by Perry Henzell in 1973. It is a first full feature-length film from Jamaica and the Caribbean cinema in general, and it is a keystone film that is still referenced to this day. Perry Henzell was born and raised in Jamaica, and this film was considered to be his masterpiece. So, in this movie, Jamaican culture is shown through religion, poverty, social classification, music, and much more. Music is a vital cultural aspect that the director uses throughout the film. He uses it as a base to critique other issues such as poverty and manipulation of people in lower classes by people in the upper classes. Our main character, Ivan, is a prime example of this, where every single authority figure throughout the movie, whether it be the priest, or the producer, or the drug dealer, always manipulate him in some way to their advantage, while he further gets more negative impacts to his life. This movie does balance this with the good parts, like the music is very colorful and vibrant, and we see a lot of positives there, and we see how important religion is to Jamaica, and we see how there are a lot of positives, but there's a ton of negatives, especially in the big city, especially with poverty, and especially with higher classes, putting their will and forcing their will on the lower classes. Furthermore, there's a critique in this movie where this imposing of will is negative for the lower classes, and it only creates more disparity and furthermore inequality in the lower classes. Between the minute 37 and the minute 39, we get the scene where Ivan returns to the handyman shop. He was working as a handyman for the priest until he was eventually fired, and he goes back to the shop because he left his bike there. However, he only finds that the other handyman that was working with him stole the bike, or was intending to steal the bike. So they get into a fight, and the camera is eye level with them, and is at higher eye level with one and lower eye level at the other, depending on who's winning the fight. In the end, Ivan wins. He stabs the other handyman, and the camera looks up to him at a steep angle, so he is seen as towering over the viewer. He has won, and he has gained more power in this situation. However, this is a critique. This is showing that disparity and enforcing of will from the upper classes on the lower classes in Jamaica only leads to violence in the lower classes, and what little authority there is to gain and what little power there is to gain, that causes a lot of violence, where the lower classes will do anything to get one up on another person. Whatever is valuable, in this case the bike represents that, they will fight over it, and whoever wins it has more power. Ivan in this situation. This is a critique of how it's a negative impact and how it is a big problem in Jamaica, especially in this time period. But still, we see a lot of scenes that are positive with music and reggae specifically, of how that is a very important and vital part of Jamaican culture and how it is a beautiful showing of it. On a global scale, these two scenes from these movies show a global universal theme of inequality and the disparity that goes along with it. While these movies go about it differently, with where Lagaan shows how it positively can end in unity and a strengthening of the community and overall triumph over that which oppresses a culture or society. The Harder They Come shows the negative aspects, where no unity, further inequality, further disparity, and further extreme differences between the classes lead to more disparity and more violence. Eventually, Ivan in the movie, he tries to become a reggae star, but eventually he returns to drug dealing after it doesn't work out, and that drug dealing eventually gets him killed. This shows the complete negative side effects of no unity and further inequality amongst social classes, while Lagaan shows how it can lead to strength and unity throughout a community. These movies go about it differently, but there is the understanding of inequality and the further disparities that follow inequality. Still, these movies show their individuality and their specific cultures, India with its own attributes, and Jamaica with its own culture of music and religion. However, the theme and showing of the negatives and disparities of inequality produces between classes is apparent throughout both. It is a global similarity that contributes to overall global cinemas. And as global cinema is about the interconnectedness of films, this specific example of these two films may may be very specific as other movies, if you could try to compare them with similar themes, might come out very differently. But these movies show that there is an interconnectedness with global cinema, despite these movies still having their individual cultural aspects. A movie will always retain its individuality, but it is seen here that it will also contribute to the greater medium of communication that is cinema. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it.